Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Khalik. One thing which is very important to talk about, but here in the societies like Pakistan and maybe India, Bangladesh, it is very rarely talked about. Maybe it is considered a kind of stigma, or maybe it is considered as a you know as an item of shame and taboo. That's why the people here in our society they don't talk about that. While in the Western society it is talked very frequently, it is talked properly because they have come to understand that unless and until we talk about it well, it is not going to be eliminated. It is a kind of social evil. It is a kind of menace which must be taken seriously and must be talked about openly in the society. That is abuse in the childhood. That is about the people who were mistreated during their childhood and those who were victimized, either verbally, physically, or in any sense. So, what does happen with these children? That even once they grow up, they become an adult, they enter their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Those troubles remain in their mind, and these cannot be eliminated totally. The negative impact of that unhealthy childhood, it remains with them throughout their life, and it keep hurting them. It keep inflicting the negative impact upon their life for a longer period of time, maybe as long as the people are alive. But today we are going to talk about it, and we will, inshallah, present a very practical guide about how it could be tackled successfully and how can we neutralize the negative impact of those negative, unhealthy experiences of the past. Nine keys to healing from adverse childhood experiences. Nine keys to healing from adverse childhood experiences. This is the topic of our today's discussion. And what are those nine keys? Let's look upon all those one by one. First of all, it is determined optimism. Determined optimism. I will not be defeated by the past. I will keep my dreams alive. That is the crux of this determined optimism. Optimism about my life, optimism about the world, about the other people. No pessimism at all that my life is going to be destroyed because of the adverse, because of the negative childhood experiences. My life has become spoiled. That is absolutely, absolutely negative, absolutely wrong. We don't have to accept it at all. Rather, we do have to be determined, we do have to practice the determined optimism that I am not at all going to be defeated by the past experiences, by the childhood experiences. Rather, I will keep my dreams alive. I will become, inshallah, what I need to become, what I wanted to become, and I'm not going to be defeated by that at all. I will keep traveling, I will keep walking and moving on the direction which will lead to my destination, my own chosen destination, and that is determined optimism. Number one. Number two, relaxed control. Control, but a relaxed control. Why not a very harsh one? Why not a very cruel one? Why not a very absolute control? Because that is not sustainable. That is not sustainable. We will be reaping the benefits of that only for a short span of time. But contrary to that, as for the relaxed control is concerned, it can be continued for a longer period of time. It can be continued as long as we are alive. It feels great to know that our lives are in our own control. It is great to know that our lives are, my life is in my own control, your life is in your own control. It is really great to know that we are in control of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and temporally. We are in our control. That means really, really great, because it means that I am going to take myself where I need to take, where I want to take myself, and nobody can take me at a place or somewhere where I don't want to go at all. An optimistic attitude impels us to take constructive action. An optimistic attitude impels us to take constructive action. To be where we want to be, we need the constructive action, and that too on a consistent basis. It is only and only possible if at all our attitude is quite an optimistic one. And once we are very optimistic, then only we can be very constructive in our thoughts, in our actions, in our attitudes, and this sort of situation will definitely take us toward the right sort of place, toward the right sort of destination. Number three, negativity resistance. Negativity resistance. Resilient survivors compassionately acknowledge their own pain and suffering. Resilient survivors com- compassionately acknowledge their own pain, their own suffering. Yes, we do have to acknowledge it. We do have to acknowledge it. We cannot deny it. Denial is not the solution of the problem at all. Acknowledging is important and necessary first step before we could neutralize the negative impact of it upon our life. So, dear friends and fellows, it is the negativity resistance. We do have to resist the negativity inside us, outside us. We don't have to go with the negativity. We have to keep fighting for a longer period of time, as long as we are alive, with the negativity inside. Because once we succeed in that, once we does not allow the negativity to prevail, the negativity to take control upon our life, I think we will inshallah succeed in making our life more and more better. Now the fourth is inner unshakable worth. Inner unshakable worth. Resilient healers continuously remember that nothing, not the way they were treated in childhood, nor recently, not even a chemical imbalance, not even financial challenges, alters their fundamental worth. Fundamentally, I know my worth. I am knowing my worth, and I am going to maintain and keep my worth. I'm not going to lose my own worth, my own self esteem, because nothing is as important as this one. No matter how was I treated in my childhood, no matter how am I treated very recently, very now? Not even the financial challenges, the other sort of difficulties. Nothing can ever, nothing can ever damage my self worth, because that is a kind of treasure which I need to keep with myself. And if at all a person is not having the self worth, I think even if at all they are a billionaire primarily and actually they are very poor, so there must be an inner unshakable worth of myself. And number 5 is the long view of suffering, that the long view of suffering, that which hurts in actually instructs. The long view of suffering, that which hurts actually instructs. Suffering is not all bad. It can help us to realize and take pride in knowing that we can survive very difficult circumstances. The long view of suffering, That which hurts actually instructs. Suffering is not all bad. It can help us to realize and take pride in knowing that we can survive very difficult circumstances. It is actually a matter of pride. I am a survivor. I can survive even in the most challenging situations. I don't need to worry about that. I'm a very strong person, and being a very strong person, I have faced that much. I have survived all that. It actually means that I'm a winner, that I'm a very tough man, that I am a very strong man. And the word, as far this word is concerned, as far this life is concerned, it is only and only for the strong men. As for those who are very weak, they cannot survive, they cannot live honorably here on this earth. To be a very strong person, knowing that I have survived all that, it makes us quite a resilient person, and it is the resilience which makes us ultimately win. Now, the number six is love replaces anger. Love must replace anger. Anger toward offenders can be crippling indeed. Anger toward offenders can be crippling. Anger, anger toward the self or weaknesses can be crushing. Anger toward the offenders is crippling. Anger toward ourselves is crushing. We don't have to do any of those two things. Resilient healers find a way to let go of anger and resentment and to look kindly towards self and others for their shortcomings. You know that the anger towards somebody else, toward the offender, that is really crippling, and the anger toward ourselves, that is crushing. We do have to be a compassionate person, because that is the only way we can heal our own wounds, and that is the only way we can successfully tackle this kind of serious or critical situation. Paradoxically, kindness much more effectively promotes healing and growth. Paradoxically, kindness much more effectively promotes healing and growth than seething anger and harsh criticism. As for the anger, as for the criticism toward the offender, I think that is destructive. That will make our life even more miserable, even more and more miserable. What needs to be done is that we need to be compassionate, that we need to be compassionate toward ourselves and even toward the offender. And that is there is a very beautiful example from the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that once he was telling the people in Mecca the Deen Islam, they were very angry and they victimized him a lot. They victimized his family members, they victimized his loved ones and his companions. But later on, after some years only, he returned to Mecca as a conqueror. What did he do to the Meccan? He did not take revenge, did not take revenge of from anyone else. Rather, he forgave all that. So, forgiving, that is extremely important. And I think the no healing is possible without forgiving. We must forgive all those offenders, and we must be very compassionate toward we ourselves, my dear friend. Now the number 7 is meaning and purpose. There must be a meaning and purpose in the life. Without meaning and purpose in the life, our life is going to be a hollow one. We don't need to make our life as a hollow one. Rather, we need to give meaning and purpose to our life. My dear friends and fellows, I think that the stronger we are attached and committed to our attached and committed to our purpose in the life, the more resilient, the more successful, the better human being we will become. I think that being having a purpose in the life and having not a purpose in the life, it actually creates a hell of difference. A man who is a very resourceful man but does not have the purpose in the life, I think they are just living by, they are just living their life I think that this life is absolutely useless compared to that. If at all there is a person who is a penniless person, does not have the wealth at all, does not have the influence at all, popularity at all, despite all that, if at all this person is having a purpose and a meaning in the life, I think the life of this person is definitely better than a rich person without a meaning and purpose in the life. So it is one of the extremely important thing that we must be having the meaning and the purpose in the life. Now the number 8 is sense of humor. Sense of humor is very important, because if at all there is no sense of humor, if at all we don't laugh and we don't make other people laugh, we don't laugh, we don't make other people laugh, I think that is really bad, and it is also a miserable life. We need to develop, we need to learn a sense of humor. It actually makes us look like a happy person, and we need to become a happy person. And if at all the happy people, all the people who are having the fun is also very important in the life. If at all there is no fun in the life, it actually means that their life is not good one at all. To make our life a better one, we need to develop the humor, the sense of humor. So miss no opportunity to develop this sense of humor. I think it make us a more likable person. We want to be more likable, we want to enjoy our life, we want to make other people enjoy their life. So the sense of humor, that is really important. Now the last, it is compassion, not the condemnation toward the offenders who suffer for their weaknesses. We can feel compassion toward them, harsh judgment toward ourselves, compassion toward self and other can indeed soften our battle in the life. It is the compassion not only toward ourselves, rather toward the people who have offended us, the people who have made our life miserable and difficult during the childhood. I think that we need to have compassion, because whatever they were doing, it was only being done because of the psychological trouble, because of an abnormal thinking, because they were not normal, because they were troubled, because they were frustrated, because they were foolish. And this is the only reason that somebody can victimize us, that somebody can offend us. Otherwise, as for the healthy human being is concerned, as for the human being, will the healthy thoughts are concerned, they can never do this, because doing it, indeed it is something very bad and very worse. I think that we need to have a kind of compassion toward ourselves and toward the other people, and it is the compassion which can make our life better. And obviously not a harsh criticism, not a condemnation, not a seeking revenge at all. So that was the point number 9. That was the ninth key. Nine keys to healing from adverse childhood experiences. Thank you.